sometime after the budget session was over of the parliament, I said I'm somewhere close to giving him a proposal, which he can guide me further and so on. And then a bit later, much later, because you know the developments of May, April, when Operation Sindoor had happened, and after April priorities have been on very many different grounds, and when next opportunity came, I went, gave him a detailed description. Is that I just want, as I said at the first meeting, the simplistic or simplified, not simplistic, simplified way of doing business. So I don't want small businesses sitting at the computer, getting the auditor to do it. And also, like the way we did in the budget, respecting the middle class, respecting the taxpayer, respecting people who are really the ones out of their salaries giving the tax. We need to do something for the day-to-day indirect tax, which falls on every Indian citizen in some way or the other. So this tax is something which touches the lives of every citizen, and therefore we need to be a lot more sensitive. So I went back with this comment, redid it, sharp focused it, and that's how this proposal came. And we, for the first time in GST's history, Council's history, the centre has come up with a proposal. Till now it used to be the group of ministers which consisted only of state ministers. Yes. Never has the centre been a part of any GOM. This is the first time, both in the case of the compensation cess, where the MOS Finance, central government, was the chair to decide how to handle the closure of the compensation cess, and a comprehensive proposal as regards GST being given by the central government. So it's unique in very many ways. Every rule of the House, of the Council, had to be looked at afresh, yes, even to put the proposal. Yes. So I'm glad it went through the whole grind, didn't ignore any rule or expectation or the law of the GST, and has gone through.
And taking everyone along, unanimously.
That's right.
At the heart of this is obviously, the common man. In fact, Money Control had put out a tweet saying that how it also impacts, it is the health of every citizen in India, to which the Prime Minister in fact said that it is also to do with Swasth Bharat. Yes. So what was the driving motivation, behind this bill?
See, I had to do a dredging kind of an exercise.
Yes.
Every item which comes under the GST, goods or services, had to be looked at, not just by their codes, not just by their names, but to regroup them from the point of view of daily use items, that which is consumed by citizens, middle class, the poor in particular, and then you looked at those which are going to hit the farmers, those which are going to hit the middle class, and so on. Because eventually, daily use items or items which are necessary for this transition of India from a emerging, developing economy to a Vikasit Bharat, yes, cannot be on the back of, just the approach of we need more development, bridges, roads, some contracts for works and so on, but also that the aspirations of the growing families will have to be met. So we had to regroup them in such a way, okay, this is essential for, let's say, the families, poor middle class families. Of course the rich will come in. So what do we do as a treatment for it? But even as we were talking about this, we are talking about the classification of goods and services. I, without any hesitation, will bring that example of the popcorn. Why am I saying hesitation? Because I was pilloried on it.
Yes, absolutely.
But that tells you the problem of classification, where we brought in a system, no doubt, which was an improvement of over the pre-GST era, where every state defined its own and had its own rate and so on. So GST in 2017 was a improvement over what was earlier, but it still required some more simplification, and that's why this exercise. And in the case of the popcorn, it led to a lot of litigation, courts coming up with different kind of voices, and states losing revenue because of the classification being different. People chose to have the higher taxed sugary chocolatey popcorn shown in as a salted popcorn, because that has only very little tax on it. So this arbitrage because of classification had to be overcome. So even as I'm grouping for families their day-to-day items, this thought of what the classification is causing as a problem also had to be addressed. Like that, I think it was one of the, for me it was a fascinating exercise. It was rigorous, it took a lot of my time and time which would have gone in for something else, but I think this was absolutely rewarding an exercise, because you brought in that temperament which is so important, that citizen looks at these things in one particular way. Revenue is not the consideration. So that helped us.
So now that you've done two monumental things, you've put more money into the hands of the consumer, you brought down for the middle classes the income tax cut, and now rationalization of GST. So will it now finally sort of move the needle on consumption?
100%. Because there's more money given already through the income tax cut.
Right.
The rates are coming down. So the citizen now has a choice. To meet his aspirations and his expectations, he cannot say, look, I have the money because the income tax is reduced, but these items are beyond my affordability. Now everything has come down. Okay. I'll give you this number which is important. 99% of all the goods and services which are touched by GST are now either in 0 or in 5 or in 18.
That's right.
There's nothing beyond. So that 1% is what makes for the demerit goods, right, which popular parlance says sin goods.
Yeah.
So that is the extent to which we have cleansed the system of anomalies, doubts, duplications, and any interpretative issues.
So this will also lead to higher investments, it will fire up investments as well.
Obviously, with consumption going up, there's a potential for capacities to grow, investments to grow.
Now the combined tax revenue impact of this, earlier your income tax cuts, and this is about 1.2 lakh crore. Do you think that there will be a certain revenue buoyancy as well in the coming years to make up for this? And
every economic theory that one studies says that.
Yeah. Have you seen that in the past?
At least the moment the income tax reduction happened, you heard people very clearly coming out and saying, I've met up with a lot of individuals coming from different strata of the society saying, I'll have more money to send my son to this particular college. My daughter is already doing engineering. I'll be able to fund her for her higher studies and things like that. And from ordinary citizens who are leading their lives either working in a small store or driving a car, taxi, and so on. So it has an immediate psychological effect that I can do this, which was beyond my affordability. And therefore I think there will be a buoyancy in terms of revenue.
Any impact on capital spending or fiscal deficit?
I wouldn't think. At this moment I can say with confidence, capital expenditure of the government will not come down. It will be completed as is stated in the budgetary planning time, the budget estimate time, and so with the fiscal deficit. And this is the last point of my gliding path.
Right.
I will adhere to it.
Will petroleum products and alcohol continue to be outside the ambit of GST?
Yes, the current proposal doesn't include it.
Right.
The states will have to.
And you don't see that happening in the near future?
Not in the immediate future.
Okay. Let's move to a few broader economic questions as well. With GST rationalization, inflation is likely to come down quite naturally. Does it make a case for further repo rate cuts in the future? I know it's not your, but generally,
not my
directionally speaking.
Not my domain. We'll have to see how the RBI assesses for itself.
September 22nd is a tight deadline. Are you confident you'll be able to roll
Yes.
this? Is the back end ready?
Yes, the back end was mentally prepared, and many structural things have already started getting corrected, reset and so on. It is with the agreement of these GST and related technology managing team related issues that we have had a discussion with them, and they have clearly given me the confidence that yes, they will be rolling it out on 22nd. So
Rahul Gandhi, who earlier called it Gabbar Singh tax, now has been talking about one nation, one tax. On the other hand, former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram, he said that it is 8 years too late. How do you react to all of this?
Well, being in the opposition, I think they have to say something. When the popular response has been so overwhelming, for an opposition to try to take some credit out of it,